We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. So for today's video, I thought I'd go ahead and explore some internet mysteries, strange and unusual websites, things like that, and I ran across this very interesting website right here, the watchers.vercel.app. The only thing on this site is a puzzle or a riddle you have to solve, and it kind of gives off Cicada 3301 vibes, another online puzzle that I don't think anybody's solved yet. But this website says the watchers, the three eyes, they need to see, they need to watch, three eyes, one truth, a secret waiting to be revealed. Eye of knowledge, decoding the symbols, eye of observation, seeing the unseen, hearing the unheard, eye of unity, three united in time and space. Apparently, when people type in eyes in the translation box, these animations pop up, like this one right here that says watching you, another one says session Najib, close your camera. So if you're going to go ahead and follow along with this riddle, do it at your own risk. So somebody on the weird website section of Reddit figured out the answer to this riddle is the word light. It grants you access and it takes you to another riddle. This one says, eye of observation. They said the second eye sees what the others miss. Glimpses, sounds, hidden frames. Time is the key. You've been here long, watching, learning without knowing why. Then there's some weird symbols that you have to try to figure out. Now, apparently this was discovered by this individual here on Reddit. They go on to say that, hi, I'm Zach. I never post something on Reddit, but this is important. I'm a video game modder. I wanted to make a mod called The Watchers. I searched on Google The Watchers to see if something already has this name. I found a movie, etc. I was scrolling down websites and I found this weird website. I don't have any friends. That's why I posted this on Reddit. I can't resolve this myself. The site scares me. Enough talking. Here's the site. Now, it is very possible this was something created by this individual right here. It could be a part of a video game. I don't know. But what's interesting, this person says right here that there is literally nothing about this website anywhere. They tried going on the Wayback Machine and there's no entries whatsoever. Now, more than likely, I'm not going to go ahead and take part of this riddle, but I do think this might be one of two things. One, this could be something interesting like an internet mystery, like, again, Cicada 3301, or even a part of it. Or two, this could be something as uninteresting as an advertisement for a video game. But for the meantime, it definitely has my curiosity, and like I said, I will look out for any updates. This next creepy website, cannibalclub.org, is something that has been known for years. Matter of fact, the fact checkers had to get involved and they determined that this was a hoax. But as I said before, anytime the fact checkers determine something, it's kind of best to think the opposite of what they say. But apparently this website was designed for LA's cultural elite. It goes on to say that specializing in the preparation of human meat, they bring the cutting edge of experimental cuisine to the refined palates of LA's cultural elite. Our master chefs hail from around the world for the opportunity to practice their craft free of compromise and unbounded by convention. It goes on to say, our exclusive clientele includes noted filmmakers, intellectuals, and celebrities who have embraced the Enlightenment ideals of free expression and rationalism. On event nights, avant-garde performance artists, celebrated literary figures, and groundbreaking musicians entertain our guests. We celebrate artistic excellence as the natural and inevitable expression of the unbridled human spirit. Apparently, these are the staff members, and this is what they serve. They're going to say that the meat we serve is selected from the young and healthy. We view anthropophagy as homage to the dead who are reborn into the bodies of their consumers. Each dish, therefore, is a study in taste and elegance. Now, I don't know if they continue to update the website, but this week's menu, I guess, includes penny pasta with meat sauce, sirloin steak, liver and mushroom pierogi, I think that's how you pronounce it, placenta lasagna, and Miss Yvette's meat pies. The only way to contact them is through email to get any information, but here's what's strange. Like I said, these fact-checking websites like Reuters, they supposedly, quote-unquote, debunk this as a hoax. It's not real. The only reason that Reuters gives is the fact that according to domain information websites, the website was created in 2008 to a private user out of California, which is where this thing is located, and the phone number, this phone number right here, this number has been reported as a scam and also shows up as belonging to a small company apparently dedicated to internet services. But the thing is, you do not reach out to this company by phone number. You reach out to them by filling out this form and they reach back to you by email. So their verdict is that it's false. Celebrities are not consuming human meat at this club. This so-called venue is fictitious and part of an old hoax, even though this website is still up for years, yet it's just a hoax. The next creepy website on the list is Yvette's Bridal Formal. Now, to warn you ahead of time, if you try to access this website, it has been known to download a MIDI file to some computers. The MIDI file is said to be just the audio to the website, but again, at the end of the day, who really knows? Now, upon going to this website and looking at it, the word cluttered is an understatement. It is just a disorganized mess of photos and links. Outside of the massive clutter, for the most part, what we're shown here is pretty normal. We see photos of women in wedding dresses, bridesmaid dresses, you see photos of bridal magazines. There are some random photos, but nothing that screams out too crazy, and all the links work. Apparently, they're located in Panama City, Florida. They even give the recipe to apple pie, but there is one link that turns everything on its head, and it's this link right here, psychological thriller, please click here. And I just wonder what happens when we click this link. Let's just go ahead and do it. Clicking that link turns this website into a thing of nightmares. It's just a night and day difference between what we saw previously with all that wedding stuff and this. Right away, you can see a drawing of a woman holding her head with her mouth open. Behind her is some kind of hospital or church. Beneath it, it says Salem Witch Trials. All they would tell us is that certain classified documents in the possession of a well-known psychiatric institution, which I guess is that drawing, which we will not name here, indicate that the site in question is part of a psychological experiment aimed at probing the truth about human nature, the truth about what is being done to humans on planet Earth, and the truth about government and corporate involvement therein. This goes on to say, at this point, the recording becomes garbled, so what is stated next is uncertain. However, the last 90 seconds of the recording are clearly audible and distinct. What? Yes, Leonardo da Vinci did paint a self-portrait, the so-called John the Baptist painting, for which it is alleged that Leonardo's apprentice posed as the model for the figure. It is actually a self-portrait of the great master himself, performed by his own hand. If you look closely at Leonardo's upper lip, you will see a distinguishing physical characteristic which can be confirmed by exhuming his remains. The great master leaves us a clue to the distinguishing characteristic in Precept 353 of his Tratado della Pittura. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. If you wish to make a chimera, an imaginary animal, appear natural, let us suppose a serpent. Take the head of a mastiff, the eyes of a goat, the ears of a porcupine, the brows of a lion, the temples of an old cock, the neck of a sea tortoise, and the mouth of a hare, the mouth of a hare. This whole website gives me a very eerie vibe, and there's other links to click here as well, like alien abduction, Chamberlain knows something you don't, demonic possession, Scribner's ghost, the flaming page, bride in hand, Chamberlain has a bad night, please click here. Don't know if I want to click any more links, and apparently I am the 959th person to visit this page. This person could also be a horror gothic writer. These could be novels, I don't know, but even if it is, it's definitely a night and day difference between the two sites. On the bridal section of the website, there is a phone number that links to the store, and people have been calling it, and apparently the store says that the website has nothing to do with them.
Those who contacted the brick-and-mortar location in Panama City, Florida, report having been cautioned by the employees to stay away from the website, as it is not in any way representative of the business.
When it comes to this next website, stunned users across different forms of social media, Facebook, X, Reddit, even news and media, have called it perhaps the most disturbing website on the internet, and it's not even a dark web, deep web website. The site is called PimEyes. Now, the reason why a lot of people find it disturbing happens to be because it can find nearly every image of you that has ever made its way online, from ancient family photos buried in forgotten Facebook albums to candid shots from obscure blog posts. If your face has ever seen the light of the internet, PimEyes can likely track it down. So how does this work? The website operates on a deceptively simple premise. Upload a single photo of yourself and let its AI crawl through the vast archives of the internet in search of matches. Within minutes, users have reported being shown images of themselves they didn't even remember existed, some dating back to childhood, others from moments never meant for public view. So it sounds like PimEyes can even pull your private photos, and if that's true, that's absolutely insane. But this gets even worse because there's multiple versions of the application. There's a basic search, which is free, where you can just upload a photo and it gives you multiple photos right back. And there's a more in-depth version for a fee that not only does it give you the photos, but it gives you the links to the websites of these photos. So while this might be good for some people that want to find the websites to old photos and delete them, this could also be a stalker's daydream. Somebody can take a photo of you out in public, pay a small fee, upload this photo to the internet, and more than likely they'll get a link back to Facebook, Instagram, and so forth, get your name, and then from there they can take your name and look it up in more databases. Something like this can also lead to deepfakes, impersonations in the wrong hands. It could be absolute chaos. Matter of fact, there was a news article released by the BBC how this exact same app, PimEyes, was used to find a child abuser who fled to another country. Richard Burroughs, 81, was on the run for more than 27 years. Some of his victims actually said they'd given up hope he would ever be found when he fled the country in 1997. After other avenues had failed, Cheshire Police last year turned to a website that uses facial recognition technology. It found him in seconds in Thailand. And that website, of course, was PimEyes. Now get this, detectives uploaded Burroughs' 1997 custody mugshot into PimEyes. It wasn't even a recent photo, and it found multiple photos of an aged Richard Burroughs from his retirement party in 2019, complete with a telltale pimple on his neck. So PimEyes, a relatively obscure website launched 8 years ago in Poland, had taken less than a minute to make the breakthrough that detectives, Interpol, and Crime Watch appeals have been unable to for over 2.5 decades. That is crazy. That, again, is absolutely wild. Now, of course, this is a double-edged sword because he was a serial child abuser, so him being taken away was his final due, and that's always great news. But again, something like this used in the wrong hands could bring absolute chaos to somebody's life. Another very creepy website discovered is this website right here, WPlace.com. Once you go to it, you can see a very dark and dreary background. It looks like a storm is brewing. You see lightning everywhere, these hands coming down, but in the middle of it all, you can make out a man's face, a silhouette of a man's face. Oddly enough, the face at times kind of reminds me of DJ Khaled. I don't know, it's pretty weird. There's also a 20-minute video on this website as well, but when you press play, nothing plays, only an audio of a man's very deep voice that keeps saying coming soon and a emergency sound in the background.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
The only other thing that's on this website is this Coldwell Banker Realty sign, open house, and this other real estate agency, TremaineRealEstate.com, and this woman's image. Now, I don't know if she knows she's on this website or not, but if I was on this website and I wasn't aware, I'd be pretty creeped out, especially given the fact of this man's face, this violent storm, these hands coming down, and this very bizarre sound in the background. This next creepy website, I really wanted to talk about it, but it's no longer around. It was taken down. I do remember it being a thing before I even had my YouTube channel, but luckily this individual on TikTok, Silent Shark 69, he did a big breakdown of this website called Enricks Angel Fire.
Enricks.angelfire.com. Although Enricks.angelfire.com was taken down back in 2018, many theories regarding the meaning of the site are still surfacing today. The homepage showed a picture of a woman in a doctor's coat next to a description of a disease called Enricks. According to the explanation translated into English, Enricks and Gomex syndrome are diseases that stem from a genetic mutation in glandular tissue cells. The strange thing about this website is that Enricks and Gomex syndrome don't actually exist, which has made a lot of people wonder about the real purpose of the site. At the bottom of the page, there's a series of numbers that look like coordinates, which correspond to a street in Ontario, Canada, right next to a church. But there doesn't appear to be a connection between the website and the location. Eventually, people started noticing that there was a lot more to this page. For example, if you click on the picture of the woman, her face starts to get distorted. With every click, her face starts to take on a more disturbing appearance, and the text becomes corrupted until it's pretty much illegible. After clicking on the image 5 times, a page with a picture of a smiley face comes up. An eerie, distorted message on the left reads, "Please wake up, and thank you for visiting our website." On the site's navigation bar, there's a tab called Enricks that leads to an image of a blue key next to some corrupted text. Clicking on the key loops the user back to the home page, but there's another link at the bottom of the page that reads, "Bypass login." The link leads to another page with a hidden message in the corrupted text that reads, "The dream is over, Tyler." Strangely, there's no other reference to this Tyler in any of the other pages on the site. But the page gets even stranger. Below the message, there's a series of numbers which, again, look like coordinates. After searching on Google Maps, I found that the coordinates correspond to a seemingly random location at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. People have tried to make sense of this, but haven't really found a clear connection between the diseases, the coordinates, and the creepy messages scattered throughout the website. But what's most disturbing about this page is the chilling video in the middle of the screen, which shows a distorted image of a woman reciting a series of 3-digit numbers. I later found out that the numbers can be decoded using a table from the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. When translated to letters, the message spells "Evident Agenda." Many people have reported that the video was taken from an alternate reality game for the TV show Lost, but once again there seems to be no solid connection between the show and the rest of the page. The last tab on the site's navigation bar is the contact page. The link leads to an explanation of internet browsers, and on the left there's a link that says Contact Administrator. If you click on the link, it takes you back to the home page, but as you might have guessed, there's something hidden in the link. After inspecting the link's source code, one person found a line in the code that reads, "Mail to Tyler." Some people have speculated that this is the same Tyler from the message in the login page, but there's no real evidence to confirm this. Enricks is a website that has caused a lot of speculation since its creation back in 2011, and people continue to discover hidden messages in the site to this day. Unfortunately, nobody really knows what any of them mean. One Reddit user did a reverse image search on the picture of the doctor on the homepage and found that she's actually a prosthodontist from a random dental clinic in Bangkok, Thailand. Strangely, there doesn't seem to be a particular reason why her image was chosen. Another user pointed out that whoever wrote the description on the homepage clearly didn't speak Thai and said that it's likely that the text was first written in English and then translated to Thai. It's unknown whether this is true. Another person found that if you click repeatedly on the blue key, it leads to a 634-page PDF in Thai about a mental health clinic that doesn't actually exist. I wasn't able to find it myself, but apparently the PDF belongs to an organization called the Department of Mental Health in Thailand. The connection between this organization and the fake diseases is still unclear.
This next website is not only very informative, but it can also be seen as very morbid as well. planecrashinfo.com. Now make no mistake about it, I have spoken about a lot of plane incidents on my other channel, Minutes of Horror, but this website takes the cake. It basically goes into detail about every plane crash in history, even up to August of 2025. Not only does it go into great detail, like how many people lost their lives, the type of plane, the location, and so forth, but it also shows photos of many of these plane crashes as well. You can look up the top 100 worst plane crashes, famous people who passed away in plane crashes, unusual accidents, accident photos, and so forth. But what really makes this website haunting for a lot of people is this right here, last words. You can click on a lot of these links and you can be taken to the transcript of the last words of the pilots, but not just that. A lot of these links right next to it have another link where you can actually listen to the audio. You can actually listen to the pilot's words. Now, I do believe these transcripts only go up to 2019. They even have 9/11 transcripts. On a side note, not many people talk about this plane crash right here that happened on November 12, 2001. An American Airlines plane, it crashed in New York into a bunch of homes, and a lot of people thought there was another terror attack because this only happened only 2 months after 9/11. Right after takeoff, pilot error in the face of turbulence led to the plane's tail being torn right off, and the plane spiraled into a bunch of homes. The transcript picked up the sound of a snap as the pilot says, "Let's go for power please," picks up the sound of a loud thump, the sound of a loud bang, sound similar to a human grunt. Roaring noise starts and increases in amplitude. This is when the plane starts going down. The pilot says, "Holy." He also says, "What the hell are we into? We're stuck in it. Get out of it, get out of it." And this is when the recording ends. Really, really horrific stuff. No doubt about it that reading these transcripts, listening to the audio, really puts into perspective the nightmare being on a plane as it's crashing and you know there's absolutely no hope. This next website can be considered also either very informative or morbid, depending on the type of person you are. Now, Housecreep.com will allow you to look up a home based upon its location, and it'll give you the history of that home, whether that home has a haunted, creepy past, or perhaps something far more sinister. Maybe a crime took place, somebody lost their life in a very brutal way. To do a more in-depth search, you would have to pay a fee, but they do give you some free links. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the very first one that says Toronto. So this home right here, which has a listing, meaning it's for sale or was for sale, on 211 Airdrie Road, a 45-year-old woman lost her life. Her body was hidden under a bed. Her 48-year-old boyfriend strangled and smothered her, and her decomposed body was found under her child's bed. Somebody was able to leave the news link of that crime on this website, so this is her and her boyfriend right here, and that is the history of that home. But let us go ahead and take a look at some internet mysteries. This individual found a Masonic cave, and you really have to ask yourself, what was it being used for? What was the purpose?
Because look at that Masonic temple. You see that? The Masonic symbol? Yep. Are you flipping kidding me? Look at this, Masonic, and gosh darn it, we may not be going much further, but what the heck is this? That is completely obnoxious. Oh, shit. And inside is this deep Masonic crazy stuff. We weren't able to make it into the Masonic Order's ritual dungeon.
I found a secret Mason cave. It was very dark and deep. I wonder what they do here. We wanted to explore more. I went deeper and found small shoes.
Air one. I think these are old shoes. I'm not gonna touch them. Disrespectfully. See the bones. What's this?
Are those animals' bones or something else?
I don't understand why people make jokes about white people.
Me and my girlfriend explored the secret Mason cave again.
If you hold this, give you guys a good 2 feet up.
You guys wanted us to go down and see where it goes.
Staircase, and I don't know why we didn't even think to do that last time. This goes back pretty far. Oh, I see something back here. That's the way we came from, but it looks like there's another way over here, so
say we check this out. I can hear water underneath us flowing. There's a river underneath us. Right?
We heard a river and wanted to check it out.
I cannot believe this.
Oh, this is I see it. I've never seen.
It's beautiful.
I'm gonna step in it though.
I'm not certain about a lot in life, but one thing I am certain of is how genuinely disturbing this story is, and how you 100% will not sleep tonight because of it. This is a young girl who went missing in Mexico sometime in the 90s, and she was featured on a really popular broadcast called Community Service on Channel 5. This broadcast featured local missing person cases, but once Selena's case popped up, weird things started to happen, causing viewers to panic. What happened to Selena and everything that followed is extremely disturbing, so let's talk about it. So Channel 5 is a Mexican TV station that has been around since the 50s. The channel is aimed at children, with segments airing during commercial breaks on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. And while some might not think anything of it, it's actually pretty disturbing when you find out what exactly they're airing for kids to see. So each night, Channel 5 would often air a broadcast called Community Service, which features real local missing person cases. Every time it came on, it would list a ton of missing people, and usually a lot of information and photos would be attached to each case. The goal was to air this in hopes of finding these missing people and bring them home. This is a great way to spread the word on missing people, but some thought it was a little dark to do this on kids' channels, because after all, they are just kids, and these segments were known to be kind of sinister and bleak. But this was supposedly done on purpose to show young kids how scary the world can actually be, and in a way it was meant to teach them to be safe. This all had good intentions, but in 2001, Channel 5 featured a missing persons case that would unintentionally cause mass panic, even to this day. In 2001, Community Service featured the missing persons case of 18-year-old Selena Delgado Lopez, who disappeared on April 22nd. The year she disappeared has never been proven, although it's suggested that she disappeared sometime in the late 90s. What made this case stand out to viewers was this uncanny, poorly lit photo of Selena, and the fact that there was hardly any information about her disappearance besides her name, age, and where she went missing, which was in Mexico City. This was odd because everyone else that was featured on this broadcast had a lot of information and a ton of photos, but Selena's case didn't have any of that. Channel 5 aired Selena's photo and case for years, but it wasn't long until viewers started noticing something strange. Every time Selena's case and photo came on the TV, viewers started to get really uncomfortable and afraid, citing the nature of her photo as incredibly bizarre. Viewers noted how oddly terrified her photo made them feel, as it was super uncanny. Adding to the mystery surrounding this whole phenomenon is the fact that whenever Selena's photo would be featured, the TV channel would freeze and glitch out for a few minutes before the broadcast would abruptly cut to static. Because of the mass panic and strange coincidences like the TV glitching whenever her photo came on the screen, scary urban legends started to spread surrounding Selena and what really happened to her. Some said that Selena was met with a horrible fate and that her spirit haunted Channel 5 whenever her picture showed up on the screen. Others said that her photo was simply cursed. Some even went so far as to say that Selena was not a real missing person and that her uncanny photo was actually created using AI. And this theory was kind of backed up when people started looking into Selena's case and found no public record of her disappearance. It was around the time of Selena's disappearance and feature on Channel 5 that this photo started going around. It's obviously incredibly disturbing, and at the time, no one knew where it came from. Some pointed out the similarities between Selena's face and this one when lined up over each other, and videos about the glitches viewers would experience began circulating, just like this one.
HGC Canal 5, al servicio de la comunidad. Pedimos ayuda para localizar a Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón. Selene Delgado López, se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000. Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón.
Although creepy, this photo is actually just a police sketch of Derek Todd Lee, aka the Baton Rouge Slayer. Derek was a serial killer between 1998 and 2003, terrorized Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas. He killed 7 women, and before he was caught, authorities released this composite sketch of him. He was officially arrested and charged for these crimes in 2004, but somehow his composite sketch became associated with Selena's photo, thus fueling these really scary urban legends and stories about her death and disappearance. Like I said earlier, Channel 5 continued to air Selena's case on Community Service for years after the fact, because no one was able to confirm if she was actually a real missing person. And every time they did, viewers would still feel incredibly afraid and uncomfortable, and their TVs would all glitch. And as the years passed, this disturbing experience would remain a mystery, as would Selena's disappearance. Then in 2010, Channel 5 would begin to post some really disturbing photos and videos on Twitter. This is a video they posted. It's so creepy, and although it wasn't created by them, just reposted, no one knows why they randomly started doing this. Their Twitter account would be totally normal during the day, but every night, usually around 3 a.m., they began posting these disturbing videos, and by morning, they would all be deleted. One of the videos they posted had a caption mentioning Selena, and it is really creepy. When employees at Channel 5 were questioned about this, no one knew anything about it. That, in and of itself, is genuinely so scary to me, but then in 2020, Selena's disappearance and the urban legends surrounding it once again resurfaced, and this became known as the Facebook incident. In 2020, a Facebook page of a woman with the exact same name as Selena popped up. It started gaining some traction because users discovered that they had already been added as her friend, even though no one knew her, and none of them sent her a friend request. To their horror, they also discovered that there was no option to unfriend her either. This led people to believe that her profile was haunted and in some way connected to what happened to Selena. This profile was shared thousands of times, and while it is a little creepy, there was actually a really logical explanation for the entire thing. This profile turned out to just be someone with the same name as Selena, and she had really just changed her privacy settings. She removed the add friend option from her profile, and because her page was blowing up and she had no clue why, she privated her account, which is still there to this day. Although a lot about this story is still a mystery, there are a few theories that could explain what's going on with Channel 5 and Selena's disappearance. Theory number one is that Selena is a real missing person, and her lack of information is simply due to the lack of resources back then. There are a lot of missing people in Mexico, especially during that time, so maybe her disappearance was just never followed up on. If that's the case and she is a real missing person, it's extremely sad, and her family deserves answers as to what really happened to her. Cable TV back then wasn't great quality, so that could explain the nature of her photo as well as the glitching and freezing on the channel. It could have really happened, maybe just due to technical issues. Theory number two was that Selena is not a real missing person, and it's been suggested that Channel 5 created her to fuel a fake urban legend in order to scare young viewers into being safe. It could be that this is all a hoax to shed some light on how unsafe the world actually is, and it could very well just be a publicity stunt to get people to watch the broadcast. Either that, or Selena's case and photo was created by someone else with the sole intent of scaring people, and Channel 5 didn't do its due diligence to make sure it was real before airing. That's weird to me though, because they continued airing her story for years after the fact. Some people lean more towards this being a hoax by Channel 5 simply because of the Twitter post in 2010 referencing Selena. Whether the story is true or not, it still gives me full body chills. It's now been 24 years since this story surfaced, but it remains a disturbing mystery to this day.
That video comes from True Crime with Court. Now, I don't know if Selena Delgado Lopez was a real person or not, but I did hear from personal accounts that when she did appear on TV, people's TVs would indeed glitch and do all kinds of stuff. There is also a certain eeriness about her photo, almost like it draws you in. Between this and what people have witnessed on their TVs anytime her photo would appear is indeed a very bizarre mystery.
Please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
This is Dad.
That was the voicemail that was left on Reddit users Heaven in Her Arms' mother's phone back in 2016. In the voicemail, you hear her grandfather, who is saying he just wants to contact them. Now, the only problem with that was that her grandfather passed away 6 months before this was recorded. Now, the reason why that the phone call wasn't picked up to begin with was because it came from a number that was all zeros. Not recognizing the number, her mother just didn't pick up. But after realizing the voice that was left on the message from the number, she immediately contacted her daughter, who then uploaded it to Reddit to find some answers. Now, after people started getting skeptical that the voice on the voicemail was her grandfather at all, she actually uploaded a video of her grandfather shortly before he passed. Now, personally, I think it's kind of sweet. It's just a father trying to contact his daughter. However, I also understand how this could be a bit unnerving. But I'll let you be the judge. Here is the voicemail, followed by the audio of a known recording of her grandfather.
This is Dad. I was trying to contact you. This is Dad.
To honor you today, okay?
Okay.
All right. And we have Chuck.
Yeah, I know him.
You know him. I know you.
That video comes from Chi Jim, and I really have to say, it really does sound like his voice, but is that really the spirit of her father or grandfather, or something trying to pretend to be him and latch on to his family? Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.